Okay, let me give you guys another example. So here our aim is to find out the limit of this thing here as x approaches positive 3. So when x approaches positive 3 from the left hand side, it will head towards here, and then from the right hand side, as x approaches positive 3, it will head towards here. Now dead on 3 here is undefined. Okay, dead on 3 is undefined. So the trick is to visualize this as being a bubble here, and your aim is to somehow get it in the form of sine x over x. Somehow get it so that sine whatever the bubble over whatever the bubble, and then as this bubble heads towards 0 and this one heads towards 0, then the whole thing will head towards 1. So the limit of this as x approaches 0 will be 1. And why? Well, we've done several videos on this. So we are now at a stage where you just have to accept that sine bubble over another bubble here. Now, as this bubble approaches 0, then the whole thing here becomes 1. The limit will be 1. Okay, as the bubble heads towards 0. Yeah, we are at a stage where you have to accept this now. We've done several videos on this. Well, anyway, so here what you do is you visualize this as being inside a bubble here. So somehow get it so that you factorize the. I don't know how or why we know this, but just factorize it, and then let's factorize it. Hang on. So when you so this whole thing here, well, when you factorize this bit here, it will become this times this. Okay. So now break up this fraction. So it's like this. Break up this fraction. So now it will look like this. Hang on. So break up this fraction like this. So here you've got, because when you get top times top, that will give you sine that will give you this thing here, and then bottom times bottom, that will give you this whole thing here. My point is that when you're here, break up break up this fraction into two separate fractions. Okay, so here you've got this times this. So now you can break the limit. It will then become this here. So take the limit of the first box, and then take the limit of the second box. So the limit of this whole thing here is really you finding out the limit of this, whatever the limit is, then times it with the limit of this here. Okay, now you can see that this was our aim, to get this to be the same as this. Okay, so this here is quite easy to evaluate here, because you just put the 3 into here and nothing breaks down, because you haven't got a case where you have 1 over 0 or anything. If you put 3 into this x here, it will be 1 over 7. So the limit of this here will be 1 over 7. Now here's the thing. You see here, you're taking the limit as x approaches 3. Now as x approaches 3, then you've got a case where this thing here, well, when x approaches 3, then this bubble here will head towards 0, and this bubble here also heads towards 0. So you've got a case where you've got sine bubble over bubble, and the bubble actually heads towards 0 when x here approaches 3. So when x approaches 3, you've got to look at the bubble itself. The bubble itself is heading towards 0, even though x is heading towards 3. My point is that even though the x is approaching 3, the bubble here itself is heading towards 0. So you've got a case where you've got sine bubble over bubble, and the two bubbles are heading towards 0. So you can say the whole thing is 1. It's a lot of this bit's quite tricky in that hang on, let me show you this. In that wait there, hang on. Well, this bit's quite tricky in that hang on. Okay, this bit's quite tricky in that okay, so this bit here is quite tricky in that a lot of people think that Well, if you have this, so this block here is this block here. You see, as x heads towards positive 3, then the overall thing here would be 1. Now, if you have a case where you have x approaches 0, this is x approaching 3. You see, this thing here approaching 3, the whole thing will head towards 1. But when you approach 0 here, when x approaches 0, the bubble itself does not head towards 0. So here you've got a case where when you put 0 into here, it will be sine minus 3 over minus 3. You see, this is okay. It will give you a definite answer because nothing breaks down here. My point is that this thing here is different from this thing here, because this is heading towards 3, and when you head towards 3, the bubble itself heads towards 0. So this is a good thing. It's what we're used to. Sine bubble over bubble here. When you head towards 3, this thing here will head towards 0. This will also head towards 0. So you can picture this inside your mind as this whole thing tending towards 1. But when you have x tending towards 0, then you've got a case where this is not heading towards 0. This is not heading. Well, my point is that this thing here is different from this thing here. And when you look at a graph of this, hang on, let me show you a graph. So this here is a graph of sine x minus 3 over x minus 3. Here, hang on, let me move this. Hang on, right there. So here you've got so at the moment, if you look at this here, hang on, so here we are trying to investigate this bit here. My point is, look at this, compare it to this here. You see, this bit here is heading towards 0. This bit here is heading towards 3. Now let's look at a graph of this bit here, which is the same as this. So now we're going to jump to the graph. Jumping right now. Okay, so this blue line is this graph here. Now you can see that as x heads towards 0, x heads towards 0 from the left hand side is heading towards here. And then from the right hand side heading towards 0 is right here. So here we have a limit right here. Okay, it's dead on. Well, here we are definitely heading towards a limit. But then this limit here is different from this limit here. Now, this limit here, don't forget the blue line is still this. The blue line is still this. Now, when looking at this here, as you head towards positive 3, look at this, positive 3, you're heading towards 1 here. You see? From the right-hand side, you're heading towards 1. My point is that this is different from this. So when you visualize this thing here, sine bubble over bubble here, it's actually the bubble heading towards 0. So it's not a matter of you looking at this. It's you looking at the bubble heading towards 0. That's why when we say limit of sine x over x as x tends to 0, you see when you have x tends to 0, then it is this bubble heading towards 0. The two bubbles here heading towards 0. So you can say the whole thing as 1. But then in this case here, even though x is heading towards 0, the bubble itself here is not actually heading towards 0. So this limit here does not equal to 1. Okay, it's something else. This here equals to 1. Anyway, back to the original example. So just remember that when looking at this here, as x tends towards 3, the bubble itself heads towards 0. So it's a good thing. So this limit here heads towards 1. This thing here, the bubble does not head towards 0. Okay, and something else that I have to justify. When you look at this example here, okay, when you look at this example here, if you think about it, you've got a case where you've got sine bubble, and this bubble here happens to be 3x, okay, over a bubble here. Now here, x tends to 0. You see, as x tends to 0, the bubble also tends to 0. So in this case, it's also, sorry, this here should be 1. Hang on, this here should be 1. Sorry, this here should be a 1. Okay. You see here, then you can say it's the limit here is heading towards 0, because you've got a case where, okay, x is heading towards 0, but then the bubble is also heading towards 0. So you can say that the limit here is 1. Up here, even though this is heading towards 0, the bubble itself is not actually heading towards 0. Okay. Well, anyway, back to our example. So we were, hang on, let's start again here. So we started out with so we started out with this here. Factorize this thing here, it will give you this, and then separate the two fractions, okay, and then blah blah blah. So we are now here, okay. So let's get this bit. I've explained over this. So now we are here. So this thing here is 1/7, and even though x is heading towards positive 3, you got to keep your eye on the bubble itself. The bubble itself is heading towards 0, so that means the whole limit here is 1. Okay, so you've got this times this. So basically, overall, the limit is 1/7. So if you look at this here, look at the original graph. As x heads towards 3 here, the limit here is 1/7. So this is your answer. Okay.